the silent witness, there was a small town called Shantipur. This town was always filled with an eerie silence. The people here never spoke. They lived their lives quietly, and if anyone tried to speak, others would move away, avoiding conversation at all costs. No one ever wondered why it was this way, everyone just accepted it as normal. One day, a new resident, Ravi, moved to Shantipur. He was young and curious, and the town struck him as odd. Whenever he tried to talk to the locals, they just smiled awkwardly and stayed silent. Ravi began to feel that something was off. One day, Ravi saw an elderly lady sitting outside an old house in the town. She had a deep sadness in her eyes, and, like everyone else, she never spoke. Ravi thought that maybe she could provide him with some answers, so he decided to approach her. "Excuse me," Ravi said gently. "You seem like you know a lot about this town. Can you talk to me?" For the first time, the elderly lady looked up at him. Her eyes were filled with pain, but she didn't speak. Ravi, confused, tried again. "Has this town always been like this?" The old lady looked at him for a long time before speaking in a faint voice. "It's all because of an old curse. The people here cannot speak, for if they do, they will fall silent forever." Ravi's heart skipped a beat. "A curse?" he asked. "What do you mean?" The old lady sighed deeply. "Many years ago, a terrible spirit came to this town. It took control of everyone and demanded they remain silent. Anyone who tried to learn its secrets would fall under its curse, silencing them forever. If you uncover the truth, you too will be silent, just like the rest." Ravi felt a chill run through him. "What happened to the others?" he asked. "They remained silent," the old lady whispered. "Just as you will if you learn too much." Ravi could feel the weight of her words pressing down on him, but he couldn't walk away now. His curiosity was too strong. "I have to know more," Ravi said, determined. "I won't let the curse control me." The old lady looked at him sadly. "You have little time left. Once you know the truth, your voice will fade. There is no escape." Ravi didn't care. He had come to Shantipur to understand its mystery, and he wasn't going to let fear stop him now. The next day, he went to the oldest part of the town. Here, the silence was suffocating. The people moved like shadows, their faces blank. There was no sound. The air was heavy with unspoken words, and Ravi could feel the weight of the silence around him. He remembered a mention of an old book that might contain the truth. It was said to be hidden in the town's forgotten library, a place filled with ancient knowledge. Ravi decided to go there and find it. "Neha," Ravi called out to a young librarian he had met earlier. "I heard there's an old book in this town, a book that tells the story of the curse. Do you know where it is?" Neha looked uneasy. "I've heard of it," she said. "But be warned. Anyone who reads that book, they never speak again. You will know the truth, but at a cost." "I have to see it," Ravi insisted. "I need to know." Neha hesitated but eventually led him to the book. As Ravi opened it, the pages seemed to whisper to him, as if they were alive. The more he read, the more he uncovered the horrifying truth: an evil spirit had once cursed the town. It demanded silence from everyone. And anyone who sought the secret behind the curse would fall victim to it. The more Ravi read, the more he felt a strange sensation creeping up his throat. His voice seemed to be fading, slipping away from him. He tried to speak, but no words came out. "Neha," he tried to call out, but his lips were sealed, his voice completely gone. Neha looked at him with a sorrowful expression. "I warned you," she said softly. "You've uncovered the secret. Now, you are cursed too." Ravi tried to scream, but all that came out was silence. His voice was lost, just like everyone else in Shantipur. Days passed, and Ravi walked through the town, but no one spoke to him. He realized that he had become just like the others, silent, trapped in the curse. No one ever spoke again. Their voices, just like Ravi's, were forever lost to the darkness. As Ravi wandered, he understood, the curse didn't just steal voices, it stole their very essence. The silence was all that remained. And so, Ravi became the silent witness of Shantipur's tragic fate, a part of the town that would never speak again. Ravi had been silent for weeks now, his throat tight and voice completely gone. The eerie quiet of Shantipur felt even more suffocating as he wandered the streets, watching the people who had once been his neighbors. They went about their lives with empty eyes, as if they had accepted their fate, bound by the curse of silence. But Ravi couldn't shake the feeling that there had to be more to the story. One evening, as he sat in the town square, he saw the elderly woman again, the one who had warned him about the curse. Her gaze met his, and this time, there was something different in her eyes. It was as if she knew that Ravi was struggling, trying to find a way to break free from the silence. Without a word, she motioned for him to follow her. Ravi hesitated for a moment but then stood up and followed her, his footsteps echoing softly in the quiet night. She led him to the edge of the town, where the forest began. The trees whispered in the wind, their leaves rustling in the otherwise silent air. They stopped in front of an old stone structure hidden deep in the forest, an ancient temple, covered in vines and moss. The woman placed her hand on the weathered stone door and pushed it open, revealing a dimly lit room inside. Ravi stepped in, his heart racing. It felt like this place held the key to everything, the answer to the curse. Here, the old woman finally spoke, her voice hoarse but clear. This is where it began. The spirit that cursed this town, it resides here, in this temple. But there's a way to break the curse. There's a way to reclaim your voice. Ravi's heart skipped. He motioned for her to continue, desperate for any chance of breaking free. The spirit's power is tied to the town's silence, she explained. As long as the curse remains, the town will be trapped in this quiet void. But the spirit can be defeated, and the curse can be lifted. There is an artifact, hidden in the temple. If you find it, you can end the curse. But beware, the spirit will not let go easily. It will try to stop you. Ravi nodded, determination filling him. He had to try. He couldn't live in this silence any longer. The woman handed him a small, ancient-looking key. This will unlock the path to the artifact. But remember, once you start, there's no turning back. The spirit will do everything in its power to stop you. With the key in his hand, Ravi stepped forward, the door creaking open as he made his way deeper into the temple. The air inside was thick, heavy with a presence that seemed to watch him from the shadows. As he walked, he could feel the silence pressing in on him, wrapping around him like a suffocating blanket. Suddenly, a low whisper echoed through the temple, so faint that it was almost imperceptible. You cannot escape. You belong to the silence now. Ravi froze. He could feel the spirit's presence, but he couldn't see it. The whisper grew louder, more insistent, until it seemed to surround him from all sides. You will never speak again. You will never be free. Ravi gritted his teeth, trying to block out the voice, but the words dug into his mind. They were like daggers, cutting deep into his thoughts. But he had come too far to turn back. He had to find the artifact. He had to end the curse. He continued walking through the temple, the whispers following him, growing louder with every step. Finally, he reached the inner chamber, where a stone pedestal stood in the center of the room. On top of the pedestal lay a small, glowing crystal. Ravi stepped forward, his hand trembling as he reached for the crystal. But as soon as his fingers touched it, the entire temple seemed to tremble. The walls shook, and the air grew cold. The whispers turned into screams. No. You cannot break the silence. You are mine. Ravi's heart raced as he grabbed the crystal, feeling its power surge through him. The temple seemed to warp around him, and he felt himself being pulled into a vortex of darkness. But just as the darkness threatened to consume him, a flash of light erupted from the crystal, blinding everything around him. The spirit's screams faded into nothingness, and the temple fell silent once again. Ravi collapsed to the ground, breathing heavily. The silence had lifted. For the first time in weeks, he heard something, his own voice. It was faint at first, but it grew louder as he began to speak, the words coming back to him. I I can speak again, Ravi whispered, his voice cracking with emotion. But as he stood up, he realized something strange. The town was still silent. The curse was gone, but the people of Shantipur were still trapped in their own silence. It was as if the curse had released them from the spirit's control, but they had forgotten how to speak. Ravi knew what he had to do. He walked back into the town, the crystal still glowing in his hand. The people watched him as he approached, their faces blank, their eyes hollow. But as he spoke, his words cut through the silence. The curse is over, Ravi said, his voice strong and clear. The silence has been broken. You are free. The people didn't respond. They couldn't. They had forgotten how to speak. But Ravi didn't give up. He spoke to them every day, repeating the words, trying to break through the silence that still held them captive. And slowly, over time, something began to change. One by one, the people of Shantipur began to speak again. Their voices were weak at first, like a child learning to talk, but they grew stronger with every word. Ravi had broken the curse, but the true battle was just beginning. He knew that Shantipur would never be the same again. The silence had been a part of their lives for so long that it would take time to heal. But he was determined to help them rebuild, to restore their voices and their lives. And so, the story of the silent witness continued, not with an end, but with a new beginning. The people of Shantipur slowly began to find their voices again, but the silence that had gripped them for so long wasn't something that could be easily undone. The town was still haunted by its history, and while Ravi had broken the curse, the trauma it had left behind lingered. Days turned into weeks, and the once eerily quiet town began to show signs of life. People spoke again, but their voices were hesitant, as if they had forgotten the art of conversation. Laughter had yet to return, and the air still felt heavy with the weight of the past. Ravi, determined to help the town fully heal, spent his days walking through the streets, talking to anyone who would listen. He spoke about the curse, the temple, and the spirit that had caused their suffering. Slowly, the people started to remember who they were before the curse took hold. But there was one person who was different. The elderly woman who had warned Ravi about the curse had vanished. Ravi had searched for her everywhere, but it was as if she had disappeared completely, leaving behind only the memory of her cryptic words. The more Ravi thought about it, the more he realized that she had played a much bigger role in this whole ordeal than he had initially understood. One night, as Ravi stood at the edge of the town looking toward the forest, a strange feeling washed over him. The air was thick with a familiar chill, and for a brief moment, he could swear he saw a shadow moving between the trees. The darkness seemed to swallow everything around him, and he felt a sudden sense of unease. Then, in the distance, he heard a faint whisper. You think it's over, but it's never truly over. Ravi's heart skipped a beat. He turned around, looking for the source of the voice, but there was no one there. The whisper grew louder, more urgent, as if it was coming from within his own mind. You've broken the curse, but you haven't defeated me, the voice continued. You've released me, but I'm still here, waiting. Ravi's blood ran cold. He knew immediately that the spirit wasn't gone. The artifact had only weakened it, and now it was trying to find a way back. Ravi's instinct told him that the woman, the one who had guided him to the temple, had known this all along. She hadn't just been a warning, she had been a part of the curse. But why had she disappeared now? Determined to uncover the truth, Ravi ventured into the forest once again. This time, he wasn't looking for the artifact or the temple. He was searching for the woman, his only lead to ending this nightmare once and for all. As he walked deeper into the woods, the air grew colder, and the whispers returned, following him like shadows. He wasn't sure how much further he could go, but he pushed on, driven by a sense of urgency. Eventually, Ravi came to a clearing, and there, standing in the center, was the elderly woman. She was no longer the same, her eyes were hollow, her face pale, and her body seemed to be fading, as if she was part of the forest itself. You've come back, she said, her voice weaker than before. Ravi stepped forward. Where have you been? What's happening? The spirit, it's still here, isn't it? The woman nodded slowly. Yes. It's never truly gone. The artifact only weakened it, but it's still bound to this land. It was never my intention to lead you here, but the curse, it binds us all. I thought you could break it, but I was wrong. Ravi's heart raced. What do you mean? Why didn't you tell me the truth? The woman looked down, as if ashamed. I couldn't. I was a part of the curse too. I was the one who created it. Long ago, in a desperate attempt to save the town, I made a deal with the spirit. I thought I could control it, but it controlled me instead. And when the curse was set, I had no choice but to follow it. I became the keeper of its power, the one who guided those who sought to break it. But in the end, I too became a prisoner. Ravi stepped back, stunned by her confession. You were the one who cursed the town. The woman nodded. Yes. But I never wanted this. The spirit was too powerful. It feeds on silence, on fear. And now, it's coming for you, Ravi. Before Ravi could react, the ground beneath him trembled. The tree swayed violently, and the whispers became a deafening roar. The spirit's presence was closing in, its dark energy suffocating the forest. Ravi felt himself being pulled toward the woman, but he couldn't move. The spirit's grip was tightening, and he knew that if he didn't do something, it would take him as it had taken so many before him. With a surge of adrenaline, Ravi broke free from the invisible force that was holding him and ran toward the woman. What do I do? He shouted, panic rising in his chest. The woman's eyes filled with sorrow. You have to finish what you started. The artifact isn't enough to defeat it. You have to destroy it, completely. Ravi glanced around frantically, trying to find something that could help him, but the forest was closing in, the darkness almost tangible. Where is it? He asked desperately. Where can I find the spirit's heart? The woman's voice grew faint. The heart is inside the temple, where it all began. Destroy it, Ravi, and the spirit will finally be gone. Only then will the curse truly be lifted. Before Ravi could say another word, the woman's form began to dissolve, vanishing into the shadows of the forest. The ground trembled again, and the darkness closed in, threatening to consume everything. Ravi